Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into an incredibly intense ancient text. We're doing a fast-paced, deep dive into Deuteronomy chapter 4. Get ready, because this chapter is absolutely packed with high-stakes laws, consuming fire, and a deeply mysterious, totally formless voice.
Right out of the gate, you can feel how incredibly high the stakes are here. Moses lays down this super strict demand for absolute adherence. He says you cannot add a single thing to the word and you definitely can't diminish or take anything away from it. Why? Because this is the exact, literal formula required for the Israelites to just survive, to live, and to successfully possess their promised land. So let's look at section 1, the wisdom of the law. The text frames this law as a literal sight for neighboring nations to just marvel at.
Moving right along to section 2, the formless revelation, which centers around the terrifying fire at Horeb.
Okay, so the crucial point here is what the text says happened at this mountain, Horeb. It sets up this massive, mind-bending paradox. The mountain burned with this visible, consuming fire reaching right into the mists of heaven itself. But the people saw absolutely no physical shape, no similitude at all. They only heard this invisible divine voice speaking straight out of the fire and darkness.
And because there was a total absence of any physical form at Horeb, Moses uses that exact experience to strictly forbid making any earthly or celestial idols. We're talking male or female shapes, beasts on the earth, birds in the air, creeping things on the ground, fish in the waters, or even the sun, moon, and stars. The whole host of heaven, all of it is absolutely forbidden to be worshipped.
Now for section 3, exile, seeking, and mercy. Here, the text builds this incredibly stark contrast for future generations. On one hand, you have the dire threat of total destruction. If they fall into idolatry, they'll utterly perish, be scattered among the nations, and be forced to serve deaf-blind gods of wood and stone in exile. But directly alongside that terrifying warning is this powerful promise. If, in their absolute darkest moments of tribulation, the people seek the Lord with all their heart, they will not be forsaken.
Which brings us to section 4, an unprecedented divine rescue from what the text calls the iron furnace of Egypt.
To really drive this home, the text poses a massive, mind-blowing rhetorical question. Has any other nation ever heard the voice of God out of the fire and actually lived? Or has God ever taken a nation from the midst of another empire through signs, wonders, and war? It really highlights just how completely unprecedented the nature of their escape was.
So, all this intense history builds up to one uncompromising takeaway. Quote, "The Lord, He is God. There is none else beside Him." That is it. That's the ultimate monotheistic thesis Moses desperately wants the reader to internalize. But this isn't just lofty abstract theology. Moses immediately puts this law into practical action by establishing 3 specific cities of refuge. We have Bezer in the wilderness plain for the Reubenites, Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassites. These were literal safe havens set apart for accidental slayers. It proves exactly how this grand, fiery revelation translated directly into everyday societal survival and justice.
We've covered a ton of ground in just a couple of minutes, but I want to leave you with a final, really provocative question. Think about this. If an entire civilization's survival depends entirely on remembering a voice without a face, how does that shape the course of history? It's an absolutely incredible legacy. Thanks for joining me for This Explainer.